Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruchakodash. Hard times lie ahead. And pretty much this lesson is inspired by a little bit of a video I was watching here from the priest Zakar, young elder in the New York camp. Goes back to the 34th and 7th days of teaching. Very diligent brother in the faith. And also the elder Karataza out of Vegas. He did this, and I know I saw this somewhere. And I believe it might have been from his video thumbnail about farmers. Warning, and I kind of mentioned it. I believe I mentioned it in one of the last videos I did. I kind of mentioned something like that, but I just wasn't sure where I saw it at. I'm pretty sure it was this thumbnail on this video. So I linked both of these in the description box so that you can go and watch them. Myself, I have to go finish watching them because I only watched a little bit of it. And pretty much, you can type UK farmers warn food aisles will soon be empty because of crushing conditions. We are not in a good position. And as you can see, when you go to these different grocery stores, you notice more and more that there's less and less selection, and then there's not as many or as an abundance as there used to be. You used to go to places and you have abundance of everything. Now the produce sections, certain stuff is empty. You go to certain aisles and there's certain things that are empty or very, the aisles and the shelves are very slim pickings, as they say. And this is going to cause a lot of hardship because you got to remember there's a lot of people worldwide that buy food every day, go to these grocery stores, because this is the trick bag that they have people in, because not everyone knows how to farm. Not everyone is a farmer. And that's why those preppers, they push, farming, get your seeds and plant that in the ground, learn how to, farm, and so on and so forth. All right. And this is something that's is pretty much, it's hitting all over the place. And as they keep printing more and more of these US dollars, it's causing, more problems. And eventually you're going to have, you see rising prices, but then you're going to have hyperinflation, which you see in different countries like Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and other places, where pretty much the currency of that country pretty much is worthless. It takes a whole lot more to buy, a lot more of those dollars to buy something that it might have took you a whole lot less 6 months ago or a year ago. One of the major examples that we have that we always speak about is the Weimar Deutschmark, which during the time of World War II collapsed, or just before World War II. I'm not sure exactly what year that was. I will have to go back and do the research. It's been a while. But that particular currency collapsed, and it was so bad that it was cheaper to burn stacks of paper money than it was to buy wood, buy kindling wood, and you've heard Elder Apostle Tara say it before. You would go to a restaurant, they wouldn't have any prices on the menu like they normally have, because the price can change from 1 minute to the next. You can go to dinner at 6, and finish at 6:30 or 6:45. The dinner might be $200 to start at 6, but then by the time you finish, it could be $300-400. So there's a lot of stuff going on worldwide right now that is ushering in the end of the world and these hard times that are coming. And as I was listening to this individual at the beginning of, the priest video, he was speaking about hard times coming, lack of food, famine, people selling their children, for rice and beans. I'm not sure if that was a dream that he may have had, or if that was just a laundry list of things that he put together because, he could see things coming in the future. But it all lines up with biblical prophecy. And he even quoted Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. And in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, this is something that we always go into, beginning with Elder Pastor, that Jeremiah 50 and Jeremiah 51 is dealing with, America, Babylon the Great. And there's a lot of distress that's going to come to this country, and worldwide. Because remember, this is a worldwide event that's going to take place pursuant to Revelation, the 3rd chapter, and others. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has come down with great wrath, knowing that he hath but a short time. And this is why they're pushing so hard to get this system in place, which, the MOTB is the one that really needs to be pushed the hardest. Get that thing on board, so that, things can move a lot faster. Now, the movie that came to mind was the movie The Road. And this movie, and even in the book of Eli, they kind of hinted towards it, but they really didn't go into it. But here in this movie, The Road, this is pretty much like a blueprint of the things that are coming. Because in this, they show you that, people eat people. They show you instances where Denzel and Kunis, I forget her first name, Mila Kunis or something like that, which plays Solara. She and he went to this one particular couple's crib, and then she said, "Would you like some tea? Would you like some sandwiches?" It's a funny thing, I found some meat, and it wasn't meat at all. It was pretty much human flesh, which goes into the word cannibalism. So this is a very good movie to watch, especially in these times, to get prepared. It's dangerous walk. People just can't be out there on the streets because you have marauders. You have individuals looking for food, looking to take anything that you have of value, or to sustain themselves because of the lack of bread, and also because of the lack of water, and pretty much desperation. And people are going to be in a very desperate mind state. So I'll start off with the book of 2 Timothy 3 and see where the Spirit leads us. 2 Timothy 3 and 1, and I hope this blue letter don't act up. What the hell is going on here? All right, looks like it's bugging out, but all right. 2 Timothy 3 and 1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Now we're going to look up two words here if this thing doesn't act up. We're going to look up the word perilous and times if they're two separate ones, or we may just look up the word perilous. Let's see if this loads up a little quicker. Boom. Okay, yeah, this looks like it's loading up better. Let me try to go this one. Boom. All right, Barakatay, how about Shemal Shai? All right, perilous. The word is kalepos, kalao, right? And it's hard to do, to take, to approach. And you have to remember, when people are in a soft state, when people are used to being pampered, being able to go and everything is instant, instant coffee, instant food, instant everything. You go to these fast food restaurants, which is nothing more than death shacks, and you can go and order something and not even 2 minutes later get your food. You have to remember that this is something that these people are accustomed to. They've been gradually accustomed to it. So once something goes out of whack, just slightly off of their schedule, the schedule of those parasites in them, then they start to lose it. So just imagine when shit shuts down. I remember back, during the time of, the PD, the pan to the dem to the ick, going back to 2020, 2021, when we were leaving Bridgeport, Connecticut, coming down to pick up the Apostle Tahar to go to camp, I remember one time we passed this one particular restaurant, Dutchess, and this one individual, this Jake, looked like a straight up zombie. He was walking, to the restaurant, and he grabbed the door and he was pulling on the door, and the door was locked because they had them, you had to go through the drive-through because shit was bad, and all we heard was because these people are not used to, things not working in that fashion. Everything here is everybody's catered to. You can go to your grocery stores, you could pick your fruits and vegetables, which most Jake don't really mess with, but you could get food. You can get sandwiches, you get pre-made stuff. You go to your different 7-Elevens and whatever, you have stuff that's already pre-made. You go to these gas stations, you have pizza and all of these processed foods that are destroying people's immune system, and they're able to just grab and go. No more, gone are the days pretty much mostly, except for a handful of people, gone are the days where you would actually buy stuff, prepare it, cook it, and you would have to wait in order to eat. Now is everything is, it has to be, you have to eat right away or else people start bugging out and tripping out. So just imagine when things shut down, what state of confusion people are going to be in. When people try to get their money, just recently when they were trying to get their money from the IRS and shit was going haywire, these people were losing it. I gotta feed my kids. No, because they're not used to any type of hardship, especially here in America. Now, when you go to different places around the world have, certain places where people go through hardships. They might eat one meal a day, or they might not eat. Maybe they might eat every 2 to 3 days. So people in America are not used to that. People in America are not used to going more than 20 minutes to a half hour without shoving something down their mouth. Shoveling something down their throat. And this is why the American public, for the most part, are so goddamn obese. So everything is right there. So when something changes that schedule that they're used to, they're going to lose it. And that's what's going to cause these perilous times, are hard to do or hard to take or hard to approach. Yep, the microwave generation, like the elder said. Hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, right? Because these are the times that are fast approaching. Let me get this one here. Now this fucking thing ain't working. Satan, boy, I tell you. You know what? Let me X out of that one. That one seems to be like fucked up. No, that was the one. Shit. Let me try something. You know what? Get rid of this one too. This one is, for some reason, that one ain't working so well. So we had to excommunicate him. Excommunicado. Excommunicated. All right. Before we go back to that, before we read that, let's finish up here. Harsh, fierce, savage. People are gonna turn to savages, man, out here. Savage. Savage has multiple meanings. As an adjective, savage means untamed, fierce, or cruel, right? Because right now, as people are able to conduct themselves in this present America, let's say, they're able to somewhat, pretty much control themselves. They're not so much infringing upon each other's rights because they still are able to go to the store, they're still able to go to restaurants, they're still able to get, their liquor or whatever the case may be. But when shit gets hard, the savage is gonna come out. And once the savage comes out that is untamed, fierce, and cruel, then they're not gonna spare people. They're not going to have the ability to contain themselves because things are going to be hard. And these are the perilous times that are coming. For example, you might describe beasts, criminals, or scenery as savage Synonyms of savage include bloodthirsty, fell, feral, and wild. Right. Bloodthirsty and wild. And that's what's going to happen. Antonyms of savage include mild and cultured, but now they ain't going to be mild and cultured. Right now, you could say to a certain degree they're mild and cultured, unless they have to wait an extra 10 seconds in the pickup window line to get their food. Then they start losing it. Or if you don't give them the right amount of French fries or the right amount of nuggets, all right? Brutal person. A savage means to attack ferociously. All right, so you get the idea. Now, let's go to desperate mindset. Desperate mindset meaning. Let's see what comes up. Okay, so it's mindset as one. Let's see. Desperation is a character trait that describes a person who is willing to do anything to achieve their goals or desires, see? Often because they feel like they have no other options. And that's what these devils are doing. They're cutting off the ring. They're cutting off the options that these people are used to. That's why you see, a lot of shelves starting to become empty. Back when the PD hit, the pan to the dem to the ick, right? The icky. People were going savage over some goddamn toilet tissue. You had this one individual that bought so much toilet tissue, then once, everything was resupplied and everything was going back to normal as far as that was concerned, he's trying to return that stuff back to the place to get his money back. Said, nah, he already bought it. Can't do that. People were fighting because, they couldn't, one person bought all the toilet tissue in the aisle. They got all the toilet tissue in their cart moving and people are fighting. Let me just get one, man. They over there fighting over it. So what do you think is going to happen when it comes down to the food? People are going to be fighting over one carrot, one piece of corn, And then eventually, when there's nothing else to eat, the great fear will come upon them. The great fear would be what? Cannibalism. Which cannibalism is coming. Let me hold that on deck for a moment. And then we'll go back to where we were at and then take it from there. Matter of fact, I want to start up a little bit above that. Right there. All right, so let's go back. So let's read this one more time because I want to get the word times also. So it says, this know also that in the last days, which we're in right now, the very last days, perilous times shall come. So when we go to the word times, you have the word kairos. Do measure. A measure of time, a larger or smaller portion of time, hence. So pretty much a fixed or definite time, the time when things are brought to crisis, see? The decisive epoch waited for. So this is pretty much what we're dealing with, the time when things are brought to a crisis. So perilous times are coming, and it's going to cause things to be in a crisis type situation, just like the movie The Road, where you had to be leery of everybody. The situation where Viggo Mortensen and the guy that played his son in the movie, when that Edomite saw them, he said, "Hey, don't worry. He looks hungry. Come on, we have food." No, that's to allure people, with those slick talking. And then if he would have complied, and they both would have went with them thinking they're going to get some food, they were going to be the food. And to show you that was the case, when the individual made a move and he shot the dude in the head, when they left, when they took off and the party that were there left, what happened? You seen the same guy that got shot and there was nothing left of him but guts. Because the other individual stripped him, cut him up, and they, that now they got din for the night. You see? So shit is gonna get bad, man. Shit's gonna get hard. There's a lot of shit that's coming. So, moving along, Daniel 12:1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And what's gonna cause the major portion of Jacob's trouble, the major portion of the hardships and the perils that are coming, is a lack of food. Because people can go without a living room set. People can go without a TV. People could go without clothes. They'll just wear the clothes that they have on their back. You see that in these different, like the movie or the series Fear the Walking Dead or The Walking Dead, where you have people that wear the same shit all day long, every day. So people could go with they could go without cars. They could go without pretty much anything, shelter and all of that. But one thing they can't go without is food and water. You see? So that's what's going to cause a lot of these hardships, is the lack of bread, which, Lord's will, we're going to get that. Which I see the brothers putting up all kind of precepts. It's beautiful. All right? So it says, and there shall be a time of trouble. And this right here, this time of trouble, which Bishop Nathaniel denied was coming, but he lied about it, said that he didn't say that. He just said that it wasn't nothing happening at that time, which was a bunch of bullshit, because he said it that it wasn't going to be no time of Jacob's trouble, that it was just going to be, I forget exactly how he put it. The Lord's going to come back. It's going to be some ruckus or whatever, and the elect are going to be. So I forget exactly how he put it. But he did say there would be no time of Jacob's trouble, because the older gentleman asked him that. So before we read on, let's get the word, let's see how it's worded, time of trouble. Okay, Ith is time, okay, trouble. The word tazarah, which that goes also to the word fear. Straits, distress, trouble. Same thing we read in the New Testament with the perilous times. Vexer, rival wife. That goes into something else. The point that we're dealing with is straits, which the word straits here, the way that it's spelled, is not spelled like going straight ahead. All right? It's spelled without the GH. Let's go to show you that real quick. Strait, narrow passage of water connecting two seas or two other large bodies, areas of water, the Straits of Gibraltar. Now, when you see pictures like this, two big bodies of land and then a small entrance to go through of water, those are called straits. Why? Because it's difficult to navigate, and when ships go through these things, they have to be very careful. Otherwise, their ship can run aground. You have the Straits of Hormuz, and different straits, different places. All right. But it also means used in reference to a situation characterized by a specified degree of trouble or difficulty. Right, just like a ship will have to be careful navigating through these straits, people are going to have to be careful navigating through these times that are coming. Just like you see in the movie The Road, the movie, Book of Eli, even in the series Walking Dead, you have to walk off the beaten path, so to speak. It's not good to walk, on the streets. Most of the time, you want to be in the woods somewhere that you can hide. You have to be in that leopard, leopard. What's the word I'm looking for? Clandestine leopard, mindset. Because a leopard can move, amongst other animals, during the daytime without being spotted. That's how stealth they are. That's why the scriptures say that a leopard shall watch over his cities. That's how them cops are. You'll see them in the cut, So, moving on. So let's read this again to get the whole full context of it. And this is something that's coming. This is not something that happened yet. Daniel 12:1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince who standeth for the children of thy people, which are who? The Israelites. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, right? And that's going to be the determining factor. You know, that's a good one too. I'm going to get that one next. You know what? That's going to be the determining factor in these times, because this is what's going to bring Jacob's trouble. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in a book, meaning the elect. All right? Man, you brothers. This is what I wanted to get. Ephesians 5:15. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Right, the brother said those leopards are excellent hunters. Yeah, that's right. They are excellent hunters. You know, they're very stealth. You know, they're very, they're very, able to move through, a crowd of other animals without them even noticing them. You got to be a bad mother, So moving on, matter of fact, let's get this one in the book of Jeremiah, since we keep speaking about it. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So the elect are going to be saved out of it, because these devils, they're going to be lurking, like what is that? Psalms 10. As a lion that's greedy for his prey. I believe that's the same scripture. Let's see what it says for Jacob's trouble. It might be the same word, Tazarah. Yep, Tazarah. And that's, Jake, because the Lord is going to bring this final onslaught upon Jake. But the elect will be delivered. Now, some of the elect will be put to death, beheaded, to glorify the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua in that fashion and to fulfill prophecy. But for the most part, the elect are going to be safe. They're going to be taken care of. So let's move on to 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. See, so it's a worldwide thing. It ain't just something that's going to be relegated to one city, one town, one country, one continent. No, it's going to be a worldwide thing, and the worldwide thing is going to be the grid. All right, the people that are on the grid, because the people that are living in the bush, they're not going to be affected by this, because they are still living what they call prehistoric times. They still live off the land. They don't need electricity. They don't have any outside influence within them. So it's really the grid, the people that are on the grid, that's gonna suffer this coming calamity. So that's what it means by worldwide. Revelation 3:10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Right, and this is to the servants of the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, the laborers, the true laborers. And also extends to the believers, the ones that have been holding on, fighting. You sincere brothers out there and sincere sisters out there, fighting, keeping the patience, doing what you could do for the truth the best that you can, in whatever capacity the Lord gave you. Right? I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So there's an hour of temptation coming. Now the hour of temptation comprises all of the hardships that are coming: Jacob's trouble, martial law, concentration camps, or / detention centers, so on and so forth. But the final hour of temptation is the micro C-hip, because that's what's going to determine. Because you got to remember, people are going to be in such a desperate mind state that they're going to be willing to take that device in order to be able to eat and to drink and to have some type of normalcy, like that. I believe that's what normalcy bias is all about. They don't, which it goes a little deeper than that, but they want some type of normalcy. They want things to return back to the way it was, but it'll never return back to the way it was, because even now in 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble, things are not, normal as they were prior to 2020. You see? we're in a different stage of the game. You know, when the 80s were here, the 90s were here, that was a different stage of the game. Once the 90s came in, things kind of switched up, but they was pretty much mostly kind of the same. Then once the 2000s came in, a whole new dynamic came about. Now, you know, coming up, 24 years later from the year 2000, you know, it's a totally different world than it was back then. You know, the degenerate mindset that they're pushing to the youth, especially, you know, the youth are pretty much through, finished. Make mention of the movie Civil War, which we went to go see. You know, this is a few weeks back, maybe about 3 weeks ago or so, and pretty much they show you a scene where these reporters we came across this encampment, and you had an individual shooting, a sniper shooting, and, you know, picking people off, and then you had 2 American soldiers that were, you know, hunkered in place, you know, trying to get the guy, you know, to take the sniper out. And they showed the dude, both of them had all kind of different colors, dyes in their hair. The hair they looked like clowns, you know, different color, you know, all in their hair. And then the guy that was shooting, his fucking fingernails were painted, fingernail polish. And then that's a new thing. They got these rappers pushing that shit. They got these men pushing that shit. You know, men wearing skirts and all that shit. They pushing that shit heavy. And the younger generation don't see anything wrong with it because they were not taught the right values. And this is why these devils removed the man out of the house, because if you have a real man in the house, he ain't gonna go for that bullshit. He's not gonna allow his sons to be wearing no goddamn makeup or no goddamn fingernail polish or wearing a goddamn dress or a skirt. He's not gonna allow his daughter to, you know, to dress like a hoe or to you know, dress masculine. You see? It says, which shall come upon all the world. So this hour of temptation is going to come upon all the world. And the ultimate is that micro C here, because people are going to be in such a desperate mind state, especially, we're all over the world, but especially in America, where people are so used to living that easy life. You know? Everything's there. You know, you catch hell, of course. You know, people, you know, struggle, you know, to pay bills and stuff like that. You know, they got these different jobs that they work on that they pretty much don't like. But for the most part, when it comes down to eating, it's readily accessible. They can eat anytime they want. You know? So when they cut that down, there's going to be a shift. And when that shift comes, it's going to come with, you know, rules and regulations. And the rules and regulations are, if you want to partake in this system, you got to take this micro C here. And they show you that in the movie The First Purge, which was the second to last one. When they went to, I believe that was Long Island, if I'm not mistaken. And they offered Jake money to stay for the purge. And if they partook, they would get extra. And then what did most Jakes do? They did it because they needed the money. And what was the very first thing that they did when they agreed and signed the dotted line, so to speak? They put a micro C hip in them, because the Ephraimite chick even said, "Well, how do you know if I stayed? How do you know if I don't leave and just get the money anyway?" She said, "Well, we'll inject you with this micro C hip to keep track of you." You see, so. Shit gonna get hard. It says to try them that dwell upon the earth. Now the word world, which is the word oikomene, and the word earth, which is the word gay or geo, the earth, they're both synonymous with each other. There's two different Greek words that are synonymous one with the other. Okay, and it means just that, the whole entire planet. When we go to Revelation, back in Revelation, the 12th chapter. Oh boy. Yeah, this blue letter been acting up like crazy lately. Revelation chapter 12. Oh, here we go. Yeah, see? This shit is It's af, af. Let me go use another one. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants, woe means destruction. To the inhabitants of the earth, goes hand in hand with Revelation 3:10, and of the sea, for the devil, meaning Esau, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So they're going to push this thing. And when they push this thing, the scriptures say they're going to be as madmen, sparing none. Let me get that real quick. For those of you that never read it or never heard of it, new members, 2nd Ezra 16, we're going to start at 68. And this whole 2nd Ezra 15 and 16 is pretty much a blueprint into this what they call a dystopian future. Now, the word dystopian, if you don't know, DYS, the dis at the beginning is bad, means bad. And then the topia means place. So dystopia means bad place. Utopia, the U at the beginning, which normally be EU, or U at the beginning, is good. And then topia is place, good place. So utopia, good place, dystopia, bad place. So this is like a blueprint to that. When you read this and you look at the things that are happening and that are coming, you see blow by blow of things that are going to take place. And now, when we go back to 2nd Ezra 15, and you read these things and you see what's going on in the world, you understand why people are going to take matters into their own hands and not listen to the government, not listen to their police force, the local police force, and so on and so forth, because things are going to be hard. And you're not going to be able to get it like you used to get it, so you're going to have to resort to measures that you feel within yourself will best benefit you and your family. And that's how people are going to be thinking. Every man for self. 2nd Ezra 16:68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. Now, being idle, the word idle here, different spelling from this idle, IDLE, that means to be stationary, not moving. So what would be the stationary or not moving situation that people will be in, or position they'll be in? Them different detention centers. And those different detention centers, will be equipped with the stations to be able to micro-see hit people, which is the MOTB. If you want to get a visual of that, you could watch the movie Handmaid's Tale. The movie Handmaid's Tale, which came out in 1990, I believe, shows you that once these people are rounded up and they're brought to these different warehouses, and they're, what's the word I'm looking for? They're, I forget what the word is called, when they get you in there and they write down your name, they get all your information. There's a term for it, but I can't think of it right now. Once they process you, then they show you in this one woman at a time was going into this room, and there was this one doctor there, and the woman would have to put her hand inside this machine, and then they would press a button or pull a lever, and then something will come down, and then when they pull their hand out, they had a bracelet in this case. And the bracelet process, they had a bracelet in their hand, and that bracelet had like a tracking thing on it. It was almost like it looked like a UPC code. Well, when you go into the micro C-hip, which is the mark of the beast, it's the same technology, but it's going to be subdermal. And the World Economic Forum, the people that are pushing for this new global economic system, specifically Yuval the Devil Harari, right? He wants to, he keeps talking about, tracking people subdermally. When you go back to the interview that Alex Jones had with Aaron Russo, Aaron Russo told him what the plans of the so-called elite are, because he actually was friends with Nick Rockefeller, which they say doesn't exist. You know, and they show you pictures of him and Nick Rockefeller. But so how doesn't he exist? And he told him that the end goal of everything is to have everyone micro C-hipped. Because they want to track everybody and they want to track all your movements. They want to track everything because these devils are greedy. They have enough to where they can leave the scraps off of Longshank's table. Inside joke. To the rest of the people out here that don't have shit. But no, they want everything, including the people. And when people get this device implanted into them, that would signify eternal or forever slave. As the scriptures say, when you had a servant that loved his master that didn't want to leave, he would get an awl bored through his ear, and that would be a witness that he was a servant for life to this master. You see? It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Right, because the ones that comply, eventually they're going to, once they don't need you anymore, they're going to discard you. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, who are the Israelites. This is where your time of Jacob's trouble comes into play. It says, they shall be like mad men. Who? These different forces that they're going to set up. FEMA troops, police, military, National Guard, reserves, whatever the case may be, whatever military or group they have to police the populace. They're going to be like madmen, sparing none. And now that you have these, so-called migrants coming up into this country, which they're only focusing mainly on the Central and South Americans, which are, Jakes. They're not focusing on the, so-called Chinese, so-called Africans, the so-called East Indians, the so-called Arabs that are the men of military age that are coming through those borders. They're not talking about them. They're mainly talking about the so-called, this is why Jake, you motherfuckers are. So they're stirring that strife between Jake and Jake. Because here it is, you got more than just the so-called Latin tribes coming through those borders. You have a lot of different military age men from different nations coming through those borders. So what do you think they're going to do? If they're coming here for a so-called better life, when they give them weaponry and training and all that, they're ready to go ham on you. So they're going to be like madmen sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord, mainly you Israelites. The biggest threat to the planet, the biggest threat to the New World Order are the Israelites, especially the ones that are woke, that are awake, that know what's going on, that know who they are. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Right, so you're not going to have shit. Then it says, then shall they be known who are my chosen. Why? Because the Lord is going to lift up a standard and he's going to protect his elect. And they shall be tried as a gold in the fire. But they're still going to have to go through that fire. Which are these perilous times, which is Jacob's trouble. All right. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Right. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. Right? And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts. Right. That's why Yahushua said, because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Save the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. Right. So do the best that you can in serving the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, so that when these times come, you can find shelter in the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, to be under the protection or under the wing of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So going back to Revelation 12 and 12, let's read that again. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So let's segue over to Second Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, because it's a worldwide event. And the people that are here, that are on this grid system, that have your smartphones, that have your different social media accounts, that trade online, that buy and sell online, that, you know, do all type of business online. This is talking to you. All right. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. Why? Because the Lord is bringing judgment upon the earth because of the wickedness of man and how wicked they become under the current ruler, which are the Edomites. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Here go your class wars. Here goes your race wars. Here goes your civil wars. You know? And like one person said, I forget who it was, they said it's not going to be like it was, you know, back, what was that, 1800s, late 1800s. No, you know, towards the latter part of the 1800s when they had that civil war. You know, which was the North, the aggressors, you know, against the South. It's going to be, he said, it's going to be pockets everywhere, you know. And like their movie Civil War, they show you that one Edomite, and everybody said, look, man, I'm American, man, I'm American. He said, what kind of American are you? And anyone that was a citizen of America that was from another country, he was taking them out. One to the head. See? So you're going to have that. Then you're going to have, you know, different factions of the military and police forces and, you know, different other agencies that are going to be fighting against each other because, you know, of the beliefs of one against the other. So it's going to be a hot mess. For there shall be sedition among men, meaning a rising up amongst men. They're going to come up against amongst themselves, and they're also going to come up against the government and invading one another. See, so they're going to fight against each other, but they're also going to be factions that are going to come up against the government. And they shall not regard their kings nor princes, which are who? The leaders that, you know, make sure that things are, you know, running properly for the government. And this is what you see happening right now. You know, where these, you know, mayors and senators and stuff trying to, you know, keep the people calm in certain situations, or whenever anything happens, they try to keep them calm in certain situations. There's going to come a point where that's not going to work. People are going to be like, you know what, man, F you, man. You working for the enemy. And the course of their actions, meaning the people's actions, shall stand in their power, because they're not going to obey the established laws that are set up in place, because the established laws are robbing them of their rights. You know? So they're not going to fall for it. So you're going to have total anarchy in the streets, which the word anarchy means no rule. You know, then you're going to have chaos. And you know the motto of the so-called elite, ordo ad chaos, meaning order out of chaos. And that's what's coming. Down the pike. Okay? It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Man, when you see all these different movies, like The Road, The Book of Eli, you see the different, you know, so-called dystopian movies or series, it's always the same scenario. Shit is broken down. People are desperate. They're dirty, hungry, you know, desperate. They can't, you know, they got to be very cautious when they walk in, going different places, looking for some type of shelter to spend the night in, looking for food to eat. It's the same scenario over and over again. It says, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. You see? Because it's not going to be, you know, your everyday, what you're used to type of lifestyle. Shit is going to change drastically. What they call SHTF, or shit hit the fan. And the scriptures give us a blueprint as to what's going to take place. You know? It says that man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. See, the lack of bread causes desperate mind state. And that desperate mind state, as we read here, desperation is a character trait that describes a person who is willing to do anything to achieve their goals or desires, often because they feel like they have no other options. A desperate character may act impulsively, right? Because they're not being rational, because they're desperate. They're not being logical. They're not thinking, straightly. It says, a desperate character may act impulsively, take risks, or resort to extreme measures in their pursuit of what they want. See? That's what we're reading right here. It says, man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. It ain't going to be inviting people. I got a barbecue going on, so and so. All of you in the neighborhood are invited. And if they do something like that, you better be leery, because you might be, a side of ribs on the grill. Side of barbecue ribs on the grill. So shit's gonna get real, man. Shit is going to get real. So going back here, let's end it off with this. Actually right here. Let's see if we could just get that point. Power received the jealous. 55, 2nd Ezra 15:55. The reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom. Therefore shalt thou receive recompense, like as thou hast done unto my chosen, the Israelites, saith the Lord, even so shall the Most High do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy cities shall be broken down, and you're going to see that happening here in America and worldwide, but especially here in America. And all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. Yeah, all this prepping you're doing is to no avail for the most part. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger. Why? Because you're going to eventually run out of shit. And then, you're going to have marauders of people out there, cutting you down. Because it's one thing, you have your weaponry, you have your community of people that, that'll shoot people. But if you have an overwhelming amount of people coming your way, you ain't going to be able to get all of them. And eat their own flesh. See, what is that? Cannibalism. And drink their own blood for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. You see? So cannibalism is coming back in a big way. And that's the great fear. And even in this movie, Charlize Theron, right, which played Viggo Mortensen's wife, she said, they're going to catch us. They're going to grape her and his son, and then they're going to eat us. And then she just lost it. She just went into a comatose state where she took off her coat. She just walked out into the woods, and you never heard of her again. She was just like, she just couldn't take it anymore. So pretty much, this is what's coming. So if you want, check out these two videos. The vision is clearing up and the spirit is being poured out on all flesh. This is the young elder, the priest, Sakar from the New York camp. And here you have also the young elder from the Vegas camp, the head of the Vegas camp. Food scarcity hitting the UK and regions worldwide due to extreme weather, the Lord sending famine. And I posted both of these in the description box. Now, as far as this Yahoo News thing, you could type that in and you can get the article, which I'm sure he read into it in here. I didn't really read into it, but you can. This is just a post of it on X. UK farmers warn food aisles will soon be empty because of crushing conditions. We are not in a good position. And you see that. Even when you go to the grocery store, you see certain, areas where you have very small things, or you have a whole bunch of one thing and they have that all spread over the aisle, making it seem like it's full, because that's a tactic, in sales. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.